In this TaxSlayer Pro training video, we're going to go through an 1120S Corporation example return. Jay Mitchell and Stan Marshall are 70% and 30% owners of Dana Incorporated, a service company located in Dimebox, Georgia. The company's corporation election was made January 15th, 2013. So let's go ahead and open the program to the heading information section and see how we'd enter this information into the TaxSlayer Pro 1120S program. To begin entering the information for this Subchapter S Corporation, I'm going to start here at the TaxSlayer Pro main menu. I'm going to click on number 4, Business, and I'm going to select number 2, 1120S S Corporation Return. I'm going to select my company. I've already taken the liberty of entering most all of the information for this company just to save time on the video. But again, like I said on the previous slide, let's go ahead and jump into the heading information just so you can see where I entered the name and address for the company, Jay Mitchell, the president, email address, and so forth. I'm going to exit this menu. Total assets for the company, I went ahead and filled that in, option number 2. Those assets are being pulled automatically from Schedule L. And then number 4, other information, I went ahead and filled all of this in. We noticed the date of S-Corp election was 1/15/2013. I gave them a business code. They're a service corporation. So I went ahead and entered the principal business code for Office Administrative Service. Number 3, the number of shareholders, that's going to pull from the K1 menu. We'll go into that in just a moment. Anyway, this is a quick look at the other information menu, so I'm going to go ahead and exit here. We're back at the heading information menu, and again, that's very briefly how we filled in the heading information for this Subchapter S Corporation. I'm going to go ahead and exit the heading information menu, and we'll jump back into the main 1120S screen. Now the next thing we're going to do is take care of the income information on this 1120S, and the following information that we're going to go over was taken from the income statement for 2014. So we've got some income entries here. Tax-exempt interest of $10,000. We've got gross rents of $50,000, gross royalties of $100,000, service income of $1,100,000, and we've got a total income of $1,260,000 to enter on this 1120S. So let's jump back into the program and find out where to put these figures. All right, I'm back into the program now. I'm back at the main 1120S screen. I'm going to go ahead and enter the income that we just spoke about. The first thing I'm going to do is enter the service income of $1,100,000. Now, I've got a couple of options here. I can double-click on line 1A, gross receipts or sales, to enter that income, or I can use the income menu, which will take me to the gross receipts or sales. Personally, I'm a fan of the income menu. You will find what works best for you as you use the program more and more. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and click on number 2 up here, the income menu. And like I said before, I've entered the figures for this return already just to save time on this video. But if you were to click on number 1, gross receipts or sales, this is where you would enter in that service income, $1,100,000. You could also press the F10 key on your keyboard if you needed to create some supporting statements. And so now I don't have any returns or allowances. I'm not creating a cost of goods sold because this company doesn't have any inventory, so there won't be a cost of goods sold. Remember, this is just a service company. So basically, this part of the income menu, all I'm going to do is cover the gross receipts or sales from that service income, $1,100,000. I'm going to exit this menu. Now the next item that I'm going to take care of as far as the income entries, we had some tax-exempt interest of $10,000. That item is going to go on Schedule K, distributive share items. So I'm going to select option number 6, Schedule K. And that tax-exempt interest, I know from the instructions that that's an item affecting shareholder basis. So I'm going to go ahead and click on number 6. And I've entered that tax-exempt interest income right here in option number 1, the $10,000. I'm going to go ahead and exit this menu. I've got some gross rents of $50,000, gross rents of $50,000 that I need to take care of. I'm still in the Schedule K menu. I'm going to go ahead and select option number 1, income. I'm going to select option number 2, net income or loss from rental real estate, because like I said, that's gross rents. I'm going to select that option. I've already entered the rental property, but I'll just show you where to do that. I'm going to select option number 1, enter rental property. Has some commercial property here. I'm going to edit that. Fair rental days, 365. There's my gross rents of $50,000. I'm going to exit. Return to the Schedule K menu. And finally, I had $100,000 of gross royalties that I need to enter, so that I'm going to use option number 9, royalties, here in the Schedule K income menu. Simply going to plug in that $100,000 royalty figure. I'm going to exit the Schedule K menu all the way back to the 1120 screen, and I've taken care of all of the income entries for this 1120S. Now let's take a look at entering some deductions for this Subchapter S Corporation. On the first page of the 1120S, we're going to enter the following deductions: compensation of officers, salaries and wages, repairs, bad debts, rent expense, operating rent expense, taxes, advertising, and some other deductions. Here's how we're going to do that in the program. All right. The deductions that we just listed, as I said, can be shown on the first page of the 1120S form. So what I'm going to do, I'm back at the main screen of the form 1120S in the program. I'm going to go to number 3, the deductions menu. And here, as I said earlier, I've taken the liberty of entering all of the deductions just to save time on the video. Compensation of officers, $150,000, salaries and wages, $550,000, repairs and maintenance, bad debts, rents, taxes and licenses, $50,000, advertising, $50,000, and some other deductions. And I categorize those other deductions. I just call them supplies here, so I entered a statement for other deductions and called the $100,000 supplies by clicking on the New button, entering the category supplies, and then entering the amount of $100,000. I'll exit back to the deductions menu, and so we notice now that my total deductions add up to $1,020,000, making my ordinary income for this Subchapter S $80,000. I'll exit the menu here, and my $80,000 shows up on line 21 of the 1120S screen. Next, I'm going to record some deductions that belong on the Schedule K menu. I got some expenses related to tax-exempt income of $5,000. I've got some payroll penalties of $15,000, so added together those equal $20,000. I'm going to enter those on the Schedule K menu under Items Affecting Shareholder Basis. And also on the Schedule K menu, we've got some charitable contributions of $20,000 that we're going to enter. So let's jump back into the program and see where those figures are input. I'm back at the 1120 screen now, and so to enter those deductions that we just spoke about, I'm going to go to number 6, Schedule K, Distributive Share Items. I'm going to go to number 2, Other Deductions. And right here, I'm going to enter at $20,000 in contributions. We're going to call those contributions 100% contributions. I'm going to exit this menu, exit back to the Schedule K menu, and now I'm going to take care of those items affecting shareholder basis. Number 6. Remember from our income session, I had tax-exempt interest income of $10,000, and now I'm going to enter the $5,000 in expenses related to tax-exempt income and the $15,000 in payroll penalties, and that totals $20,000 there. And we're also told that the corporation distributed $165,000 to the 2 shareholders during the year. So I'm going to go ahead and enter those property distributions here in this Schedule K menu, items affecting shareholder basis. So I've taken care of all that. I'm going to exit this menu, back to the Schedule K menu. I'm going to exit here, and I'm back to my 1120S main screen. Next, let's tackle the Schedule L, the balance sheet. Well, beginning of the year assets, end of the year assets. First of all, we've got cash, beginning of the year $60,000, end of the year $65,000. Accounts receivable $20,000, beginning of the year, end of the year $40,000. A loan to Jay Mitchell. Jay took out a loan from the corporation, making total assets beginning of the year $80,000, end of the year $125,000. Next, we're going to look at the liabilities and equity portion of the Schedule L, the balance sheet. Beginning of the year, accounts payable $20,000, end of the year $18,000. Other current liabilities, beginning of the year was $0, end of the year $12,000. Capital stock $60,000 for the beginning of the year and the end of the year. Retained earnings at the beginning of the year $0, end of the year $35,000. Previously taxed income, accumulated adjustment account, and other adjustment accounts, $0 all the way through, making our total liabilities and equity $80,000 at the beginning of the year and $125,000 at the end of the year. Now let's see how and where we put these into the TaxSlayer program for the 1120S. I'm back now at the main screen of the 1120S. I'm going to go into menu option number 7, Schedule L, the balance sheets. First of all, here's my cash entry, beginning cash, ending cash. And again, as I said before, I've taken the liberty of entering all these figures into the program just to save us a little time on the video here. The other entry, we've got accounts receivable, beginning accounts receivable $20,000, ending $40,000. Moving further down, loans to stockholders. This is where the loan would be entered that Jay Mitchell took out. Beginning loan was $0, ending loan $20,000. And again, feel free to press F10 on your keyboard to create any supporting statements or supporting notes as you move through the program. This figure down here, the total assets, is a calculated field. You notice the asterisk or the star here by menu option number 19. This indicates a calculated field. $80,000 beginning of the year, $125,000 at the end of the year. Next, let's go into number 20, the total liabilities and shareholders' equity portion of the Schedule L. I'm going to click on that menu. We've got accounts payable. Beginning accounts payable $20,000, ending accounts payable of $18,000, other current liabilities $12,000, the end of the tax year. We had capital stock, the beginning of the tax year $60,000, end of the tax year $60,000, retained earnings beginning was $0, end of the year $35,000, making our total liabilities and equities $80,000 at the beginning of the year and $125,000 at the end of the tax year. So I'm going to exit this menu, and the program will prompt me if my balance sheet doesn't balance out. But fortunately mine does. I'm back at the 1120S main screen, and the next thing we're going to tackle are the K1s for the shareholders. To begin the K1 entry, Again, I'm going to start at the 1120S screen. I'm going to go to option number 6, Schedule K. I'm going to go to option number 8, Schedule K1 Input. And again, I've already put in the information for the two shareholders, Jay Mitchell, Stan Marshall, but let's go ahead and edit the information for each shareholder just so we can see what's in there. So I'm going to highlight Jay Mitchell's name, click on the Edit button. This opens up the Schedule K1 Edit menu with his name, address. His year-end percentage of ownership was 70%. His beginning percentage of ownership was 70%. Was in effect all 365 days of the year. This is not a final K1 or an amended K1. So let's go ahead into option number 14, Distributive Share Items, and look in number 1, the income. Now the ordinary income from the trade or business activities has already been distributed to Jay's K1. The percentage has been applied, and we show $56,000 in ordinary income. He's got $35,000 in net income from the rental real estate, the Form 8825, and he had his share of the royalties was $70,000. So I'm going to exit this menu. And again, all of that information pulled from the Schedule K and was automatically distributed to Jay Mitchell's K1. Let's take a peek in the Deductions menu. His share of the contributions, remember the company or the S Corp contributed $20,000, so his share, the 70%, worked out to be $14,000. We may have some items here affecting shareholder basis, so let's look in option number 6. And we do. He had some tax-exempt interest income of $7,000, non-deductible. His share of the non-deductible expenses was $14,000, and his share of that $165,000 property distribution to the two shareholders, his share, 70% of the $165,000, worked out to be $115,500. So I'm going to exit here, exit again. We could also take a peek if you wanted to, if you needed to, in this menu, option number 13, Shareholders Basis Worksheet. His stock basis figures have automatically been pulled and filled in by the program. Let's exit and take a peek at Stan Marshall's K1. Will look very, very similar. His year-end ownership, of course, was the remaining 30%. His beginning percent of ownership was 30%. So all of Stan's income and deductions will reflect his percentage of ownership in the S Corp. I'm going to exit this menu, exit here, and we can see that the program was set to automatically distribute this Schedule K information. We answered this question yes. Now, one little trick that you can do in the program, if you click on this option number 10, if you want to change that, if you don't want to automatically distribute the Schedule K information, you can click on option number 10. The question reads on the screen, do you wish to turn automatic distribution off? Read the question very carefully. So we would answer yes, that I do want to turn automatic distribution off. So if I answer that question yes, the K1 information will not automatically pull from the Schedule K. So in other words, I can manually manipulate the information on each one of these Schedule Ks. Totally up to you. You may have a situation where you need to go into each K1 and manually input some of the information. Typically, I like to keep my Schedule K distribution information. I like to keep that at yes. So I'm going to go back into option number 10. Do you wish to turn the automatic distribution off? I'm going to say no to that question. When I answer no to that question, it makes the menu option read yes. So I'm going to exit this menu. One final thing before we leave the video, you can go into number 11, View Results. You've got all of your forms here that you can bring up on the screen. Let's bring up the 1120S. Take a look at that. Here's my 1120S on the screen. I can print from here. I can view from here. But just remember, you can't make any changes on the PDF. This is strictly for printing and for viewing. I'm going to exit back to the 1120S. Once I'm finished with this return, I can exit. And on one of our subsequent videos, we'll talk about e-filing, Subchapter S, and partnership returns. Thanks for watching.